Alan Crawford took a deep breath as he walked to the podium. The room was filled with the most powerful people on Earth, the United Nations. Security Council members watched him with worried eyes. No one spoke. No one moved. They all waited for his news. Alan was not used to this kind of attention. As the lead scientist for Earth's first contact team, he had spent most of his life in labs and classrooms. Now he had to tell world leaders about the aliens' view of Earth. "Thank you for coming today," Alan said. His voice shook a little. The microphone made it sound louder than he expected. 3 months ago, we made first contact with the Galactic Confederation. Today, I must share their official classification of our planet. He paused and looked at the faces around him. Some looked eager, others afraid. Earth has been rated as a Class 13 Deathworld. The room stayed quiet for 3 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. Some stood up, others pounded on tables. A few just sat in shock. Council President Maria Johnson banged her gavel 3 times. "Order, we will have order." The room slowly quieted down. "Dr. Crawford, please explain what this means." Alan nodded and touched the control panel. A large screen lit up behind him, showing a chart with numbers from 1 to 15. The Confederation rates all planets on this scale. Class 1 worlds are paradise. Planets with perfect conditions for most life forms. Class 15 worlds are theoretical only. No life could evolve there. He pointed to the high end of the chart. Earth is now officially a Class 13 world, with some Confederation scientists arguing it should be Class 14. Representative Greg Wilson raised his hand. "What exactly makes Earth so dangerous to them?" Alan smiled for the first time. "Almost everything." He touched the panel again. The screen showed a list. Gravity. Earth's gravity is crushing to most Confederation species. Temperature. Our range from poles to equator would kill most of them. Atmosphere. Our oxygen levels are toxic to over 80% of their species. Pathogens. Earth has more dangerous microbes than any planet they've found. Weather. Our storms would be extinction events on their worlds. He touched the panel again. The screen showed pictures of Earth, hurricanes, volcanoes, deserts, and blizzards. "But it's not just our planet they fear," Alan continued. "It's us. Humans." The room grew quiet again. "According to their standards, we are terrifying. We can survive injuries that would kill most species. We can lift many times our body weight. We can run for hours without stopping. We can go days without sleep. We can live in places from freezing mountains to burning deserts." Representative Olivia Ramirez stood up. "So we're monsters to them?" Alan shook his head. "Not monsters, more like super beings. Think about it. We evolved on a world they consider nearly uninhabitable. To survive here, we had to become something extraordinary." Admiral George Bell spoke next. He was a tall man with a stern face. "What are the security implications, Doctor? Do they see us as a threat?" "Yes and no, Admiral. They are afraid of what we could become. Their records show that species from even Class 10 worlds tend to dominate when they reach space. We're Class 13, the math scares them. Will they try to contain us?" The Admiral asked the question everyone was thinking. Alan looked down at his notes. "That's the big debate in their council right now. Some want to limit our technology and expansion. Others want to work with us because of our unique abilities." President Johnson leaned forward. "What happens next, Doctor?" "They've invited a human delegation to visit their diplomatic ship. They want to learn more about us before making final decisions." "Who will go?" someone asked. Dahlin looked at a folder on the podium. "They've requested Dr. Susan Phillips, our top biologist, and Major Frank Rodriguez from Special Forces. They want to study both our minds and bodies." The room was silent as everyone considered what this meant. Humans were now known to be one of the toughest species in the galaxy. It was both a blessing and a curse. "One more thing," Alan said. "They're particularly interested in how we handle pain and stress. To them, the fact that we exercise until it hurts or train in harsh conditions is disturbing." President Johnson stood up. "Thank you, Doctor. The Council will now discuss our response to this classification. As Alan gathered his notes, Representative Ramirez approached him. Dr. Crawford, off the record, is there any chance they might try to eliminate us? If we're so dangerous, Dallin looked at her with serious eyes. They considered it, but there's a problem with that plan. What problem? Their simulations show that even with their advanced technology, they couldn't guarantee our extinction. We're too spread out, too adaptable, and too stubborn to die. Any attempt would likely just make us angry. He gave a small smile. And an angry Deathworld species is the last thing they want to create, Ramirez nodded slowly. So we use this classification to our advantage? Exactly, we don't need to be feared. We need to be valued. Our abilities could solve problems they've never been able to overcome. Across the room, Admiral Bell was already planning the defense of Earth, just in case. He didn't trust aliens who thought humans were dangerous by merely existing outside the UN building. Life went on as normal. People walked their dogs, jogged in the park, and sipped hot coffee in the cold morning air. None of them knew that these simple acts, enduring temperature changes, consuming stimulants, pushing their bodies voluntarily, made them something extraordinary in the eyes of the galaxy. The taxi driver who had brought Alan to the UN was doing push-ups in the parking lot while waiting for his next fare. A Confederation observer watching through powerful lenses from orbit noted this behavior with alarm. The human was voluntarily stressing its muscles to the point of discomfort. For pleasure, the observer added another note to the Earth file. Recommend serious consideration of Class 14 designation. These humans seek out pain and difficulty when not necessary for survival. Psychological profile indicates fundamental incompatibility with galactic norms. Back in the meeting room, the world leaders debated how to proceed. Alan stood by the window looking up at the sky. Somewhere up there, aliens were afraid of humans simply because they could drink hot coffee, run a mile, or lift weights. It was almost funny, but it was also their greatest advantage in a galaxy that had never seen anything quite like them before. 6 months before Alan Crawford's report to the United Nations, a large alien ship entered Earth's solar system. It moved slowly and made no threatening actions. It stopped near Mars and sent a message of peace in 200 different languages. The ship belonged to Senior Evaluator Z. Catrell of the Galactic Confederation. Skrell looked nothing like a human. He had 6 legs, blue skin that shimmered in the light, and 4 eyes that could see things humans could not. His job was to study new planets and rate them on the Confederation's danger scale. Z. Catrell stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the blue planet on the main screen. Begin full scans of the planet, he ordered. His voice sounded like clicking stones. His assistant, Evaluator Murnthy, moved her crystal-like fingers across the control panel. Murnthy came from a different world than Z. Catrell. Her kind evolved on a cold planet with low gravity. She had thin, clear skin and moved very carefully in the ship's artificial gravity. Scans are starting now, Senior, she said. Initial readings show high oxygen levels in the atmosphere. Z. Catrell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. How high? 21%. That cannot be correct, Z. Catrell said. Such levels would be toxic to most life forms. Check the sensors. Murnthy ran the test again. Confirmed, Senior, and there are other concerns. The planet experiences extreme temperature variations, from -89 to +56 degrees. No single species could survive. Such a range, Z. Catrell said. The humans do, Murnthy said quietly. Not all at once, of course. But they have settlements in all these zones? Z. Catrell moved closer to the screen. Show me these humans. The screen changed to show images from Earth. Humans walking in cities. Humans swimming in oceans. Humans climbing mountains. Humans running across open fields. They move so quickly, Z. Catrell said. And with such purpose. They are endothermic, Murnthy explained. They maintain their own body heat and need to move often. Many of their activities seem designed just to make their bodies work harder. The screen showed a human gym. People were lifting heavy objects and putting them down over and over. What are they doing? Z. Catrell asked. They call it exercise. They deliberately stress their muscles to make them stronger. Zcatril made a sound that might have been a laugh. They damage themselves on purpose? Absurd. It works for them, Murthy said. Look at this. The screen showed a military training camp. Men and women in uniform crawled through mud under barbed wire. Others climbed tall walls using only their hands and feet. Some carried heavy packs and ran for miles. This is John Mason, Murthy said as the screen focused on one man. He is training to join an elite fighting group. He will run 20 miles today carrying 40% of his body weight. Then he will swim 2 miles in cold water. Then he will practice fighting with his hands for 2 hours. And he will survive this? Zcatril asked in disbelief. He will. Do it again tomorrow, Murthy said. Zcatril turned all 4 eyes to his assistant. This is not normal behavior for a species. This is a sign of high aggression and danger. For 3 months, the alien ship watched Earth. They studied humans from space, careful not to be seen. They learned about human history, human biology, and human behavior. Senior Evaluator, you need to see this, called a junior officer one. DOIZ Catril moved to the officer's station. The screen showed a human emergency room. A man was brought in bleeding badly from his arm. Watch how they treat him, the officer said. A human doctor cut open the injured man's arm even more, found the source of bleeding, and fixed it. The injured man was awake the whole time. They cut into their own kind to heal them, Zcatril said. Their medical practices are primitive but effective. That's not the important part, the officer said. The man was awake. He felt the pain but controlled his reaction. Zcatril thought about this. In the Confederation, most species would die from shock if they experienced such pain. Their brains would simply stop working. Show me more about their pain responses, Zcatril ordered. The next images were worse. Humans with broken bones who kept moving. Humans who survived terrible accidents. Humans who pushed through pain to save others. Their young also show unusual traits, Murthy reported later. The screen showed human children playing rough games, falling down, crying a little, then getting up to play again. They are training for pain even as younglings, Zcatril said. Their entire culture prepares them for hardship. The screen changed to show human entertainment. Movies about wars and fighting, games where players pretended to hunt and kill, sports where humans crashed into each other on purpose. They simulate violence for pleasure, Murthy noted. Even their young participate in these simulations. The screen showed children playing video games with fighting and explosions. Enough, Zcatril said. I have seen enough. In his private quarters, Zcatril prepared his report for the Confederation Council. He had evaluated over 200 planets in his career. None had been like Earth. Computer, begin recording, he said. Planet designation: Earth, dominant species, human, recommended classification, Class 13 Deathworld. He paused, considering his words carefully. Humans have evolved on a planet with conditions that would kill most sentient species. They breathe oxygen at levels toxic to 82% of Confederation members. They drink water containing minerals that would poison 40% of our species. They endure temperature ranges that exceed survival limits for 95% of known intelligent life. Zcatril continued. More concerning than their planet is their biology and psychology. Humans can continue functioning with injuries that would cause terminal shock in other species. They deliberately expose themselves to pain and hardship to increase their tolerance. They simulate violence and conflict as entertainment. Their technological development is accelerating at an unprecedented rate. In just 100 years, they have progressed from basic flight to nuclear power and space exploration. Their weapons technology has advanced even faster. I must note that several metrics suggest a Class 14 designation would be appropriate. Their psychological resilience alone, the door to his quarters opened. Junior Evaluator P. Catril entered without permission. You cannot classify them as Class 14, P. Catril said urgently. Zcatril stopped his recording. Explain yourself. If they are Class 14, the Council will order containment protocols, possibly even planetary quarantine. We would be creating an enemy we may not be able to defeat. That is not our concern, Zcatril said. We must be honest in our evaluation. Then be honest about this, Pcatril said, touching the control panel. The screen showed new images. Humans helping each other after disasters, humans saving animals from danger, humans creating beautiful art and music. They are violent and tough, yes, Pcatril said. But they are also capable of great kindness and creativity. Class 14 species do not show these traits. Zcatril thought for a long time. Finally, he nodded. Computer, continue recording. Final classification. Class 13 with notation that certain physical and psychological traits approach Class 14 thresholds. However, mitigating factors include their capacity for cooperation, empathy, and creative problem-solving. Recommendation: limited contact under controlled conditions. Diplomatic approach rather than containment. These humans are dangerous, but they may also become valuable allies if properly integrated into the Confederation. As Zcatril finished his report, the ship's sensors detected a new signal from Earth. The humans had noticed them and were sending a message. They want to talk, Murthy said, sounding nervous. What should we do? Strel looked at the blue planet on the screen. We will talk. And we will be very, very careful. Dr. Susan Phillips looked out the small window of the space shuttle as it approached the alien ship. The Confederation vessel was huge, at least 3 times the size of the biggest aircraft carrier on Earth. It looked like a giant blue seashell, with glowing spots along its curved surface. Amazing, isn't it? She said to Major Frank Rodriguez, who sat beside her. Frank nodded but didn't smile. As a Special Forces soldier, he was trained to see dangers others might miss. It's impressive. But remember why we're here, Susan? They think we're dangerous. This isn't a friendly visit. Susan sighed. I know, but it's still the first human diplomatic mission to an alien ship. Try to enjoy the historic moment a little. The shuttle pilot called back to them. 2 minutes to docking. They're guiding? U.S. and now, Susan checked her tablet one more time. As Earth's top biologist, she had studied all the information the Confederation had shared about themselves. There were 12 different alien species in the Confederation. They came from planets much gentler than Earth. None of them could survive on Earth without special protection. Remember, she told Frank, don't move too quickly around them. Don't show your teeth when you smile. And try not to touch anything unless they say it's okay. Frank nodded. Got it. Act like I'm made of glass and might scare the children. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. There was a hissing sound as the air pressure equalized between the 2 ships. Then the door opened. A voice came through their translators. Welcome to the harmonious exchange. Please wait while we adjust the entry chamber to suit your needs. Susan and Frank waited. The room beyond the door changed color from blue to yellow. Mist sprayed from the ceiling, then was sucked away by vents in the floor. You may enter now, the voice said. The air has been adjusted to your requirements. Susan went first, with Frank close behind. The entry chamber was empty except for 2 alien figures waiting at the far end. One was tall with blue skin and 4 eyes. The other was shorter with clear skin that showed the organs inside its body. I am Senior Evaluator Zcatril, the blue alien said through the translator. This is Evaluator Murthy. We welcome you to our vessel. Susan stepped forward but stopped when she saw the aliens move back slightly. Thank you for your welcome. I'm Dr. Susan Phillips, and this is Major Frank Rodriguez. We are honored to be here. Zcatril's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. We have prepared quarters for you. Please follow the guide lights on the floor. Do not touch the walls. They are sensitive to your body chemistry. Susan noticed that both aliens stayed at least 10 feet away from them at all times. They were afraid. The humans followed glowing dots on the floor through curving hallways. They passed other aliens who quickly moved aside. Some made high-pitched sounds that the translators didn't change into words. They're talking about us. Frank said quietly. And not in a nice way, I think, Susan nodded. We're probably the first humans they've seen up close. Their room was large and plain. It had 2 beds, a table, and what looked like a bathroom area. Behind a screen. The walls were white and the air smelled clean but strange. These will be your quarters, Zcatril said from the doorway, still keeping his distance. We have tried to make them comfortable for your species. The air is filtered to remove harmful particles. The temperature is set to your normal range. Susan looked around. Thank you. It seems very comfortable. Rest now, Zcatril said. Tomorrow we will begin our discussions and observations. After the aliens left, Frank checked the room carefully. He found small devices in the corners. Cameras, he said. They're watching us. Susan wasn't surprised. Of course they are. We're the scary Deathworlders, remember? They probably think we might start breaking things or climbing the walls. Frank sat on one of the beds. It was too soft and he sank deep into it. They don't understand us at all, do they? Not yet, Susan said. That's why we're here. The next morning, they were taken to a large room with a clear wall in the middle. On one side sat Susan and Frank. On the other side were Zcatril, Murnthy, and 3 other aliens they hadn't met before. The barrier is for your protection, Zcatril explained. Some of our team are very sensitive to Earth bacteria. Susan knew. This wasn't the whole truth. The barrier was to protect them from the humans, not the other way around. We would like to begin by asking about your physical capabilities, said one of the new aliens. Its skin was green and rough like tree bark. What would you like to know? Susan asked. Your endurance limits, the green alien said. How long can humans run without stopping? Frank answered. A trained human can run for many hours. The longest races are over 100 miles. The aliens made strange sounds to each other. Their translators were turned off so the humans couldn't understand. And how much weight can the average human lift? The green alien asked when they finished talking. It depends on the person, Frank said. I can lift about 3 times my own body weight if I need to. More surprised sounds from the aliens. The questions continued all day. How much pain could humans stand? How long could they go without sleep? How much radiation could they survive? How did they live in such different environments? Susan and Frank answered honestly. With each answer, the aliens seemed more nervous. During a break, Murnthy approached the barrier, closer than any alien had come before. May I ask a personal question? She said to Susan. Of course. Are you not afraid, living on such a dangerous world? Knowing that so many things can harm you? Susan thought about this. We don't see Earth as dangerous. It's just home. Yes, there are risks, but there is also great beauty. Don't you have dangers on your world? Nothing like Earth, Murnthy said. On my world, the temperature changes by only 10 degrees throughout the year. We have no predators larger than your hand. The air is always clean. The water is always safe. It sounds peaceful, Susan said. It is, but we cannot leave it without great preparation. You humans ... you adapt. You survive. It is remarkable and frightening. After 5 days of questions and tests, the aliens asked to see a demonstration. They wanted Frank to show them human fighting techniques. Nothing dangerous, Zcatril assured them. Just basic movements, Frank agreed. In a large empty room, he demonstrated simple martial arts moves, punches and kicks in the air, blocking techniques. The aliens watched from behind their barrier, fascinated and horrified. The speed, one whispered loud enough for the translators to catch. The power in those strikes. When Frank finished, Zcatril asked, And your young learn these skills? Some do, Frank said. My daughter started learning when she was 5 years old. This caused the biggest reaction yet. The aliens talked quickly among themselves, their voices high and excited. You teach your children to fight? Murnthy asked, sounding shocked. We teach them to defend themselves, Frank explained. And it teaches discipline and respect too. That night, back in their room, Susan found a new device under her pillow. It wasn't a camera this time. It's a listening device, Frank said after checking it. They really don't trust us. Susan sat on her bed thinking. I don't think this mission is what we thought it would be. What do you mean? We're not here for diplomatic talks, she said. We're here to be studied, like animals in a zoo. Frank nodded slowly. I've been thinking the same thing. The question is, what are they planning to do with what they learn about us? Susan looked at the listening device in Frank's hand. I don't know, but I think Earth needs to prepare for all possibilities. Far from Earth, in the center of the Galactic Confederation, a great meeting was taking place. The Grand Council chamber was shaped like a huge bowl. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in circles going up the sides. Each circle was higher than the one before it. At the very bottom of the bowl stood a single platform. On this day, Senior Evaluator Z. Catrell stood on the platform. Above him, the council members from 12 different species waited to hear his report about Earth. Honored council members. Strel began, his translator making his clicks and whistles into words all could understand. I come before you to present my final assessment of the planet Earth and its dominant species, humans. The room was completely silent. News about Earth had spread quickly through the Confederation. Everyone wanted to know about the dangerous new world. After careful study, my team has classified Earth as a Class 13 Deathworld. Z. Catrell announced. Voices rose from all around the chamber. Some sounded afraid, others sounded angry. A few even laughed in disbelief. The council leader, a tall being with silver skin named TRZKT, raised a hand for quiet. Explain your findings, evaluator. Skrell touched a control, and images of Earth appeared in the air above him. Mountains, oceans, deserts, and jungles floated for all to see. Earth has more different environments than any world we have found, Z. Catrell said. The temperature ranges from -89 to +56 degrees. The air pressure varies from crushing depths to thin mountain heights. The oxygen level is 21%, which would be toxic to most of us here. More pictures appeared. Bacteria, viruses, poisonous plants, and venomous animals. Earth has over 60,000 different life forms that can harm or kill humans. Yet despite this, humans have spread to every part of their world. Now images of humans appeared. People working in hot deserts. People living in frozen lands. People diving deep in oceans and climbing high mountains. Humans can adapt to almost any environment, Z. Catrell continued. They can survive injuries that would kill any of us. They can go without food for weeks, without water for days, and without sleep for over 70 hours. Their bones are stronger than our best building materials. Their muscles can heal from almost any damage. Security Director Peelan, a red-skinned being with 6 arms, spoke up. If what you say is true, then Earth should be classified as Class 14, not Class 13, and we all know what that would mean. Everyone in the room knew. Class 14 worlds were considered too dangerous to contact. By Confederation law, they must be contained, prevented from spreading into space, until they either destroyed themselves or evolved into something less dangerous. I considered Class 14, Z. Catrell admitted. The physical traits of humans certainly qualify. But there are other factors to consider. Now the images showed humans helping each other, humans creating art and music, humans caring for animals and plants. Humans show remarkable capacity for cooperation, creativity, and empathy, Z. Catrell said. These are not traits we find in truly dangerous species. Ambassador Valkyrik moved to the edge of her seat. She had spent the most time with the human visitors on Z. Catrell's ship. Her skin changed colors with her emotions, and right now it was deep purple, the color of concern. I have spoken with the humans, she said. They are strange, yes. Frightening. In their capabilities, yes, but they are not monsters. They seek friendship, not conquest. Security Director Peelan was not convinced. They may seem friendly now, but look at their history. New images appeared showing human wars and weapons. They have spent thousands of years fighting each other, Peelan said. They created nuclear weapons that could destroy their entire planet. Their first question when meeting a new life form is always, is it dangerous? Their second question is, can we eat it? These are not the thoughts of a peaceful species. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued that humans should be welcomed into the Confederation. Others insisted they should be contained on Earth forever. A few even suggested more extreme measures. Their technology is still limited, one member said. If we act now, we could easily prevent them from ever becoming a threat. Ambassador Fukrik's skin turned bright red, the color of anger. You speak of destroying an entire species without even giving them a chance. This is against everything the Confederation stands for. In the middle of this heated debate, the chamber doors opened. A junior aide rushed in and whispered something to Tarskta. Council leader's silver skin paled to white. We have just received an emergency message, TRZKT announced. There has been an incident on the diplomatic vessel. All arguments stopped. Everyone turned to hear the news. 3 days ago, the environmental systems on the Harmonious Exchange failed, TRZKT explained. Toxic gases filled the section where the human visitors were staying. Gasps filled the room. Everyone knew what toxic gas would do to living beings. The humans survived, Terz continued. Not only that, but when they realized what was happening, they did something unexpected. They helped our crew. New images appeared. Susan Phillips and Frank Rodriguez wearing simple breathing masks. The two humans carrying injured aliens to safety. Frank breaking through a sealed door with his bare hands to reach trapped crew members. Susan using her knowledge of biology to help alien medical staff treat the injured. Engineer Heather Willis, who joined the human delegation last week, managed to repair the main environmental system, Tarskut said. She worked for 6 hours in conditions that would have killed any of our engineers. She suffered burns on her hands but refused treatment until all systems were working again. The room was silent once more, but now it was a different kind of silence. The humans could have retreated to their shuttle, Ambassador Vokrik said quietly. They could have saved themselves and left our people to die. Instead, they risked their lives for beings they had just met. Security Director Peelan stood up. One good deed does not erase the danger they represent. Their physical abilities and aggressive history still make them a threat? A threat or an asset? Asked Vokrik. Think of what we could accomplish with humans as allies. They could help us explore worlds we cannot survive on. They could solve problems our bodies are too fragile to handle. The final vote was close. By a margin of just 12 votes, the Council decided to classify Earth as Class 13. Not Class 14, this meant Earth would not be contained. Humans would be allowed to develop their space technology and eventually join the galactic community. But there were conditions. Earth would be watched closely. Human ships would be limited in where they could go. And most importantly, humans would need to prove they could control their aggressive tendencies. As the council meeting ended, Skral met with Ambassador VLKIK in a quiet corner. You swayed many votes today, he told her. Without your words, Earth might have been contained. Vilkrik's skin turned a deep blue, the color of deep thought. I spoke the truth as I saw it. These humans frighten me with their strength and endurance. But they also amaze me with their courage and kindness. Do you think we made the right decision? Zcatril asked. Vokrik looked at the final images still floating in the air, the humans helping save alien lives. I truly don't know. But I believe they deserve a chance to show us who they really are. Back on the diplomatic vessel, Susan and Frank were not told about the council's debate or decision. They only knew they had helped during an emergency, and that something had changed in how the aliens treated them. The barriers between them and the aliens were gone. The aliens still kept some distance, but there was respect in their eyes now. Not just fear. Something's different, Susan said to Frank, as they prepared to return to Earth. They're looking at us like we're people now, not monsters. Frank nodded. Sometimes you have to see someone at their best to stop fearing them at their worst. 1 year had passed since Dr. Alan Crawford first told the United Nations about Earth's Class 13 Deathworld status. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Representative Olivia Martinez stood at the window of her office in the new Interspecies Relations building in New York. From here, she could see the alien visitors walking among humans in the special garden below. The aliens wore thin protective suits that kept Earth's air and bacteria away from their bodies. Even with this protection, they moved carefully and stayed close to their human guides. Alan Crawford joined her at the window. "Still hard to believe, isn't it?" he said. Olivia nodded. "A year ago, we didn't even know aliens existed. Now they're taking tours of our city." "And still flinching when we move too quickly," Alan said with a small smile. "But they're getting used to us." After the Confederation had decided to allow contact with Earth, things had moved quickly. A small trading post had been built in orbit around Earth. Alien diplomats had come to meet with world leaders, and humans had begun to understand their unique place in the galaxy. "The latest trade agreement is ready for your review," Alan said, handing Olivia a tablet. "The Confederation wants more of our minerals." "Which ones this time?" "The usual iron, copper, titanium," Alan shrugged. "Things we consider common but are rare on their worlds." This had been one of the biggest surprises. Many materials that were ordinary on Earth were precious to the aliens. Earth's heavy gravity had created metals and gems that couldn't form on lighter worlds. What humans took for granted, aliens valued highly. "And what are they offering in return?" Olivia asked. "Medical knowledge mainly. Their healing technology is far ahead of ours, even if their bodies are more fragile." This was the pattern their relationship had fallen into. Earth provided raw materials and physical labor that aliens couldn't manage. The aliens shared their advanced knowledge and technology. Both sides benefited, but not everyone was happy with this arrangement. In his office across the city, Admiral George Bell met with military leaders from around the world. On screens around the room, they could see the alien trading post orbiting Earth. "They say they're our friends," Bell said, "but they've placed limits on our space travel. We can't go beyond Mars without their permission. They monitor all our communications. And they still haven't shared any of their weapons technology." General Lisa Ward nodded in agreement. "They fear us, that's clear. They think if we get too far into space or become too advanced too quickly, we'll be a threat. Aren't they right to worry?" asked Colonel Henry Diaz. "Look at our history. We've spent most of it fighting each other." Admiral Bell frowned. "That's not the point. The point is they're keeping us contained while pretending to be our friends." "What do you suggest we do?" General Ward asked. "Nothing drastic," Bell said. "But we should continue developing our own space capabilities quietly, just in case." Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, something remarkable was happening. The first joint human-alien space station was being built. Commander Karen Foster floated outside the half-finished structure, directing her team as they attached new sections. Unlike the aliens, who needed special ships and suits to work in space, humans could work outside for hours at a time. They could handle the heavy materials and endure the harsh conditions better than any alien species. "Carefully with that panel, Sam," Karen called to one of her team. "Remember, it's more fragile than it looks." Sam nodded and slowed his movements. The metal panel he was installing had been made on a low-gravity world. It was strong enough for its purpose, but would bend easily in human hands. Watching from inside the station, Ambassador Vukrik marveled at the humans working in the vacuum of space. Her skin turned green with amazement. "They make it look so easy," she said to Senior Evaluator Z. Cattrall, who had come to inspect the project. "Working in conditions that would kill most species in minutes." Z. Cattrall's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "This is why some on the Council still argue for reclassifying Earth as Class 14. Humans don't just survive deadly conditions, they thrive in them. Yet look what they're building," Vukrik said. "Not a weapon, but a place where our peoples can work together." Back on Earth, Dr. Susan Phillips was giving a lecture to a mixed audience of humans and aliens. The aliens sat in a separate section with special air filters, but they could see and hear everything clearly. A key to understanding human physiology, Susan explained, is to recognize that we evolve through constant challenges. Our bodies expect to be stressed and actually become stronger when they are. She showed images of human cells and how they repaired themselves after damage. What looks like a weakness can become a strength, she continued. When human muscles are torn during exercise, they heal back stronger. When human bones break, they often heal thicker at the break point. Alien raised a thin, trembling arm. Is this why humans deliberately damage themselves through exercise? Susan smiled. Exactly. We learned long ago that controlled stress makes us stronger. After the lecture, Frank Rodriguez met Susan in the hallway. He no longer wore his military uniform, but instead had the new blue jacket of the Earth Defense Force, a group created to work with alien security teams. How did it go? He asked. Well, I think, Susan said. They're genuinely curious about us now, not just afraid, Frank nodded. Same with the security teams. They've started asking me to teach them human fighting techniques. Can you believe it? Susan laughed. Be gentle with them. Remember, their bones break much more easily than ours? Trust me, I know, Frank said. I'm teaching them the mental parts, mostly awareness, strategy, decision-making, things they can use without needing human strength. Later that day, Alan Crawford and Olivia Martinez sat in a meeting with the Confederation's full diplomatic team. The main topic was the ongoing debate about Earth's classification. We understand some council members still argue for changing Earth to Class 14, Olivia said. We want to address these concerns directly. The lead alien diplomat, a tall being with flowing tendrils instead of arms, spoke carefully. There are those who see humanity's capabilities as inherently threatening. Your strength, your endurance, your adaptability, these traits have historically belonged to predator species. We are predators, Alan admitted. Our ancestors were hunter-gatherers, but we've evolved beyond just our physical traits. Our greatest strength isn't in our muscles, but in our minds and hearts. Poetic, the alien diplomat said, but difficult to measure or verify. Olivia leaned forward. Then let us show you. Not with words, but with actions. The joint space station is just the beginning. Let humans help explore worlds too dangerous for your people. Let us use our strength to benefit all species, not just ourselves. The meeting lasted for hours, but by the end, there was a new feeling in the room. The aliens still kept their distance physically, but they were listening more closely now. As they left the building, Alan looked up at the night sky. Stars twinkled above them, and somewhere among them, the Confederation Council was still debating Earth's fate. Do you think they'll ever truly trust us? He asked Olivia. She followed his gaze upward. Maybe not completely. But they don't need to trust us completely. They just need to value us. As the strong backs to do their heavy lifting? Alan asked with a frown. Olivia shook her head. No, as the problem solvers. The ones who can do what they cannot. Being from a Deathworld has made us different, not just physically, but in how we think. We see challenges where they see impossibilities. In orbit above them, Karen Foster was thinking similar thoughts as she watched Earth from the window of the new station. Her team had accomplished in weeks what the aliens had estimated would take months. Deathworlders, she said quietly to herself. That's what they call us? But maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs sometimes. People who don't give up, who find a way to survive no matter what. She placed her hand against the cold window, her palm covering the blue-green planet below. Class 13 or Class 14, it doesn't really matter, she thought. What matters is what we do with who we are. And what humans were doing, day by day, was changing how the galaxy saw them, not just as dangerous creatures from a deadly world, but as valued allies who could go where others could not, do what others could not, and survive what others could not. The Deathworld had created something unique, a species that turned deadly challenges into opportunities, that grew stronger from hardship, and that reached out to help others despite differences. That was humanity's true strength, and slowly, The galaxy was beginning to understand it.